Besides his physical dominance in battle, what separated Red Cloud from his contemporaries was his strategic skill, not only in armed conflicts, but also in intertribal politics. Throughout the pages of The Heart of Everything That Is, we read about Red Cloud currying favor with his fellow Lakota. One example of this came after Red Cloud gifted a stolen horse to one of the members of his tribe, rather than keeping it for himself. In Lakota culture, it was important for someone to owe you a favor. Red Cloud understood this and would gift items he had taken during raids to other members of the Lakota in an effort to rise his status within the community. Counting coup is a tradition within indigenous nations of the plains in which a warrior will rise in status by striking an enemy without killing them. For the nations who partook in this tradition, it signified the bravery of the warrior to get close enough to their enemy to be wounded. In a battle between the Lakota and the Crow, Red Cloud rushes ahead of his fellow warriors to count coup on two of the Crow before they are struck down by the Lakota. Both of these acts by Red Cloud illustrate his internal strategy for rising to prominence among his people. To examine Red Cloud's external strategy to keep the United States of America outside of Sioux territory, we will look at two separate events described in The Heart of Everything That Is. As the United States of America continued to violate the treaty signed at Fort Laramie in 1851, Red Cloud decides a stand must be taken against the American settlers. Red Cloud understands it's not enough for only the Sioux to fight against the Americans. He must unite other nations of the Great Plains around the same cause. In an effort to form a broad alliance, he visits the Arapaho and the Cheyenne, who agree to join him on an offensive attack against the Americans. Red Cloud even reaches out to the Lakota's most fierce rival in the Great Plains during this time period, the Crow. Though the Crow would not follow Red Cloud into battle, this act shows that Red Cloud understood, even though the Crow were bitter rivals, the American settlers posed the greatest threat to both the Lakota and the Crow's way of life. In The Heart of Everything That Is, we read about the indigenous nations' tendencies in warfare against the Americans and against each other. We are told one of the shortcomings of the Sioux and other indigenous nations was their inability to follow up a victory on the battlefield with the second attack. Often, after victories in the battlefield against the Americans, indigenous nations would celebrate their victory as opposed to planning a subsequent attack. This shortcoming was something that Red Cloud remedied as he waged war against the Americans. He would follow up multiple decisive attacks against wagon trains with the legendary Battle of the 100 in the Hands, also known as the Fetterman Massacre.